Did you guys hear the one about when Batman tried to timetable a trip to the library? They were fully booked. Today, we're going to be learning about interpreting timetables and how to read them effectively. All right, good luck with your sums.
G'day guys, one of the more fun ones is reading and interpreting timetables. And one of the things that we need to do, we look for clues. We look for things that we know. We know what AM is, we know what PM is, we know our days of the week. So we look for little clues that are happening on here. And what we see is this. We see this is a train terminal. And straight away, we go back, have I been on a train before? Have I caught train or things like that in those timetables? If I haven't, it's important we try and reenact that in ourselves. So you're about to jump on a train. What time is it on your watch? And what time we're looking to get in there. So let's have a quick look at this train timetable together. We can see that the train terminal, you get there at 9:08, and then after 9:08, you get to the shopping centre. Let's say you're heading down to the shopping centre. So straight away, we can see that our timetable is actually going this way, okay? So we can see that this is the start of the day, all right? And this is well, we're only going to 10 o'clock. So that really means that that's the morning, okay? So we're going down through these stations, all right? So we start at train terminal, then we go to the shopping centre, then we go to the sports complex, then we go to university campus, then the Botanical Gardens and the bus station and boardwalk. Then there's another train that leaves here at 10:36, okay? And that train goes this way as well, okay? And so that's how we look at our timetable. We try and navigate, where do we start and where do we end? And you can see here that this train station goes through all of these train terminals. We'll also look for a few other clues as well. One of the things that we can see is that we've got the boardwalk and it's a Monday to Friday, okay? So we're looking at Monday to Friday, and timetables for trains generally change to the weekend. There's not so many. You'd think there would be more, but because a lot of people rely on public transport, they use them from Monday to Friday, so there's a lot more. And what I want you guys to get used to is seeing on here, let's say at the shopping centre, I board the train at 3:19. What time would I arrive at the bus station? Well, I just work my way down, bus station, I get there at 4 o'clock. So in here, then I can calculate back and I go, well, at 4 o'clock, it's taking me 41 minutes. So I'll be travelling on that train for 41 minutes to get to the bus station, okay? And so that's how that one works. So get yourself organised, look at AM, look at PM, what happens, and look at all those sorts of things. Look at what the last train time is. That's important when you're living in London. I lived in London. I'd always know where that last train was going to leave London so I could get home on time. Just looking at those sorts of things. All right, let's look at the next slide. Okay guys, so what we've got here is we've got a different type of timetable, slightly different to the way the other one was presented. However, the information is very similar. First thing I need to do is navigate my understanding, or get my understanding going of this graph. So what information is it showing me? So at the moment it is showing me that if I want to travel, I'm traveling from City Hall and I'm moving all the way through to the museum. And that's important because I want to know exactly where I'm headed and how long those are going to take. Big glaring differences that we're seeing between this one and probably the other ones is that you've got some gaps here. And what those gaps tell me, when I've got a gap in my information just like I have here, and I'll just go around and highlight a few of these so that that makes sense for you. You can see there are some gaps there. What that's telling me is that the bus service doesn't actually travel to those places at those times. So the first bus that leaves City Hall on a Monday to Friday is that 9 o'clock bus, okay? So no, there's no buses that head off before there. However, there are buses. There's the 6:30 bus from Harris Avenue. That'll get you to the museum at 6:45, okay? So it's a good idea to understand those different times and understanding how they go there. There's a bit of an express bus on this one. So if I jump on Harrison Avenue, I actually bypass that York Street. And that means I'm going to get there slightly faster. By looks of things, I'm going from 8:20 to 8:35. It's taking me 15 minutes to get there. So I'm actually slightly faster that I'll get there. Now you can see the same is in our afternoon. There seems to be a bit of a expressway between, so I missed City Hall and Harris Avenue I can go through York Street and get on the bus there. So when we're looking at those timetables, looking for those gaps, what is the fastest way that I can get to my destination? Do I want to stop at all those stops? If I don't need to stop at those stops, I need to just go from the start of the line to the end of the line using express time is the best one for you. The big things here, make sure you know you're looking Monday to Friday and Saturday. They're the things that sort of get people a lot of the time. And understanding that we're using a 24-hour clock here. Sorry, we're using a 12-hour clock here. My apologies. We're using a 12-hour clock. But understanding that this isn't 5 o'clock in the morning and that's 5 o'clock in the afternoon. So really making sure you understand those. And you'll notice that when we go flying a lot of the time, and especially when we go overseas travel, we're working off those 24-hour times to try and make that a bit easier for people. And that means because we're swapping over time zones. So understanding those timetables is vital. We've got some information about how much stuff costs down the bottom there. So there could be some questions about that coming up. Okay, let's have a look at some information, and what I've actually done for you is I've actually highlighted that information on the page, and I always find that's the most easiest thing to do when I'm working through worded problems, is getting a texter or a highlighter or a red pen, pencil, and underlining parts of that question. I know that sounds pretty simple, but it just shows me that the information is clearly presented for me there. So Ali wants to be at the museum at 12:22 p.m. On Saturday. What time does he need to arrive at the bus at Harris Avenue? So straight away I know I'm working on that Saturday time limit. Okay, so I'm going on Saturday. He wants to be at the museum at 12:22. He wants to arrive there at this time, okay, on Saturday. What time? He's coming from Harris Avenue. So what we're going to do is we're going to work backwards, and he needs to jump on at 12:07 to make sure he's there on time. Okay. So just look at how easy that makes it because I've highlighted that information and underlined what the question is asking me to do. And sometimes when you're reading through worded tasks, it's good to understand that last sentence because that generally tells you what you've been asked to do. Next one, Zach wants to travel from City Hall to Holt Street on Saturday morning. So again, we're looking at that Saturday morning. He wants to travel to City Hall and to Holt Street. So he's going from City Hall to Holt Street, which is this one here. And if he catches the 9:40 a.m. bus, which is this one here, what time will he get to Holt Street? Well, at 9:50. So again, guys, really making sure you've got that information presented clearly makes life a lot easier for us. So the final part of this video is to look at our understanding and to see where we are using that Mazzano self-assessment scale. So we're one of the 4 areas down below. I'm going to go through those with you very quickly now. So beginning is that we really don't understand the task. We're still unsure, and we may need to re-watch that video again. And the next stage is our developing. So we've learnt it, we understand parts of it, but there are still questions that need to go. We've still got questions before we get to that better understanding. So the next one is our competent. This means that we understand it quite well. We can work independently, but there is still, and we can problem solve by ourselves. But there may be some areas that we're still struggling with. And finally, we're at that proficient stage. This means that we understand it very, very well. We're getting most of our questions correct. And we could actually hold our own masterclass that we could actually teach other people how to do this concept as well. Okay, very important that we look at our Mazzano self-assessment. Whereabouts are we in relation to our understanding?